Welcome to an audio experience that will pique your curiosity and soothe your soul. Join Dr. Dee Evans, your host, as she creates a space for women from all walks of life to reflect upon their life experiences with topics that range from love, spirituality, and pop culture. These discussions will engage and support you on your journey of wholeness and freedom. Welcome to the Hey Sis podcast.
Hey everyone. In this episode, we're going to be talking about how to have a great holiday or how to enjoy your holidays with toxic family. We're right around the time of Thanksgiving. We are entering to the Christmas season. And aside from thinking about the rolls with the butter and the dressing, I hate when people say cornbread dressing. Well, we know that, honey. I'm from the South. It's just dressing, right? We don't do stuffing. That's for stovetop. We don't do that. We do dressing. Praise the Lord. When you think about gravy and the rice and the ham and the turkey and all the stuff, the collard greens, the cabbage. I'm making myself hungry. I do like green bean casserole, okay? I'm still black, but I do like green bean casserole. I like potato salad. Now, I don't like no fruit in it. Somebody told me they put raisins in potato salad. I said, you are living in sin. Something is wrong. Come ye out from among them and be ye separated. But that's the things I think about as it relates to the holidays, food and having a few libations, and laughing and going through old albums and watching Friday at the Next. That's a tradition me and my mom keep. Even in Dad's absence, we watch all the Friday movies, actually. When I get up to start cooking, we start with the first Friday movie and we work our way down, okay? Holy moly, donut shop, okay? Those things make the holidays for me. Like, I'm excited about it. But y'all, the holidays, they aren't always filled with bliss. For a lot of us, we've got to deal with some toxic family members. And they're like gnats that won't go away. Really? Because they're in your family, you're related. And some of your pain comes from people that are not technically generationally related to you. They're in-laws and things of that nature. But you're not alone. Everybody has toxic family members. And being in their presence for more than a day or two can trigger some things in you that you may have not healed from. And it may trigger you to want to get your knife and blade out because you have healed from it and you're not trying to go back to that place. So the mental load of it all can be so frustrating for those of you who are breadwinners in your family or that carry that emotional labor of keeping the family together. I just want to briefly go over what it looks like to be a toxic family member, because they can be hard to spot. But one telltale sign that you've got a toxic family member is how you feel when you interact with them. Sometimes we don't realize that the cause of it until it's pointed out to us. For years, I didn't realize how toxic some of my family members were until my dad's absence. I've talked about that. But a toxic person will display toxic behavior, and that includes stirring the pot, causing division between other family members or pitting family members against each other. They may exaggerate something that someone said about you or someone else said about somebody, or flat out lie. Exaggeration is a lie. They may bring up topics about others because they know it will upset you or another person. Gossip, slander. I don't want to call it a tenet, but another way you can spot out a toxic family member is the refusal to speak to you. I just don't understand why toxic family members think they can come in your house, eat your food, and disrespect you in your home. No, ma'am. You better go chase the waterfalls and the streams and the rivers and the lakes that you are used to. Don't come in my house with that. Getting the silent treatment, especially if there's a disagreement and they're in your home. No, 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 no. Even if you're in someone else's home and your family, that tension can just bring about so much animosity, and it can turn a holiday into hell. Okay. Another sign of a toxic family member, of course, is lying. Toxic family members will often deny their part in any disagreement that you've ever had with them, or an event. Let me tell you something. The toxic aunties love to rewrite history, don't they? And toxic uncles. You'd be like, first of all, I didn't know you had dementia, because the way you reworded history, you need to get an Emmy for this. You need to start writing for some screenplays, because this is award winning, because this is not the truth. This is fiction. Let me sign you up. Where is Stephen King? Because you have turned the truth into a horror film. We're not doing it. Toxic family members also love accusing, using word curses, like you're overly sensitive. They love to turn the tables on you, with half truths, and they always make you feel like you're in the wrong. That's a form of gaslighting. And remember, when these toxic people lie, when family members lie, it's almost always done for self-preservation and deflection. Normally, they aren't concerned with reconciliation or honesty, which brings me to the next point. Toxic family members are often passive-aggressive. And that fact, in my opinion, makes it the most difficult to spot them, because they don't get obviously angry, but they quietly demean you and create conflict without a scene. A passive-aggressive family member will make backhanded comments meant to unsettle you. See, I got one of those in my family. And because y'all should know this if you listen to my podcast enough, I'm a strong discerner. And there's nothing wrong with my hearing. And I don't allow backhanded comments from old people. You should know better. You've been on this planet, for 95 years, and you don't know how to open up your mouth and be direct? No. Class is in session. We're not going to do that. We're not going to be disrespectful. But passive-aggressive comments, like I said, backhanded comments, are meant to unravel you. They're meant to make you feel beneath them, or almost controlled or silent. And all of you are millennial women listening. Can I encourage you to remember how old you are? Listen, I'm aging like fine wine, and I'm sure you are too. Baby, you're an adult. Nobody's going to put a muzzle on your mouth. I don't care how toxic the cousin, the uncle, the aunt is, the grandmother, the grandfather, the mom, the dad. You are grown now. You can speak for yourself. No one has the authority to shut your mouth anymore. Speak. Call it out if you need to. I'm not telling you to go on a Martin Luther King march, but I am saying you do not need to endure the holidays. You need to enjoy it. Eesh. And surprisingly, when you call out the toxic behavior, more than likely they stop it. Now, I can't account for what they'll do next year, but what I've learned, especially in my own family dynamic, some toxicity is expected from people, so nobody thinks to call it out or to say, hey, don't do this anymore, because of intimidation reasons, or maybe they're just used to being bullied by a certain person. But I've decided my patriarch is gone. He gone. Lord rest his soul. And nobody on this earth or any other celestial plane besides Yahweh himself, Elohim, is going to boss me or be disrespectful to me and think that it's okay, and think that I've given them access to continually do it. Millennials, This is the moment to undo unhealthy cycles that have been introduced by your parents and your grandparents. Look, there's some things my mom puts up with that I would never do. With a sibling, with a cousin, not nobody. We are the generation that is breaking stigmas. Some of you are generational curse breakers. And one of the curses you need to break is this cycle of disrespect during the holidays. That's a real thing. That's a real cycle. Before I move further into that, I want to remind you that another sign of a toxic family member is they ignore boundaries. No matter what boundary you set, they'll find a way to make themselves an exception or guilt you into having set the boundary. If you say we're going to all eat in the dining room, they're going to find a way to eat in the kitchen. If you say I don't want anyone to eat in the kitchen, they're going to find a way to stir the pot and be in there eating at the same time. You're going to have to learn to be firm. It's okay to disrupt them. It's okay to cause conflict if the conflict is meant to lead to a greater resolve. What's the resolve? No toxicity. We aren't enduring the holidays. We are enjoying them. And guess what, y'all? Our parents taught us this. Our grandparents taught us this. Ignoring conflict is not always the best strategy to be able to create peace and to resolve conflict. Okay? Sometimes you're going to have to address it with your mouth, using sentences, not your tears, your words that you can string along together. There's no need in you crying to your husband about what they said if they don't know what they did bothered you. You're old enough now. It's okay. You're going to have to check auntie and them in the most loving way. And when you check them, go ahead and pour them some sweet tea. I come from a blickety black family. Get them a red Solo cup. I shall have some crown, or whatever the song say. Only like 10% of y'all will get that reference. But pour them some Crown Royal. I don't know what y'all drink at y'all family parties. Go ahead and give them that. And when you slide it to them, hey, I love you, but you can't do that in my house. Hey, Grandma, I love you, but don't call me fat again. Don't do that. That's disrespectful. I love you, but don't do that again. You see how sweet that was? Don't play with me. So that's just a strategy. What I did was just give you a strategy on how to cope with toxic family during the holidays. And one of the ways I will just reiterate that is to always lead with respect. Always lead with something positive, because most toxic family members are just ridden with their own trauma. Okay, they've got their own issues that aren't your responsibility. So we always give compassion and we empathize. But empathy does not mean that we are doormats. Remember that. So I do. Now, I don't want to say I try. I lead with respect. Even when I'm disrespected, I'm going to lead with respect because that's a standard I set for my life. I'm a child of God. Me disrespecting you is not going to make me more holy. What I'm going to do is walk like Jesus would. But just like Jesus said, surely I say unto you, that was his way of saying, I'm about to air this room out. I believe in a dearly beloved. I believe in a verily, verily, I say unto you, thou shalt not try me. In Jesus' name, thank you. It is finished. Go get Mary and them. Okay. The tomb, the stone has been rolled away. Okay. So another strategy you can use to cope with toxic family is to set boundaries ahead of time. Knowing what type of behavior and treatment that you're willing to accept from others will go a long way with the holidays and toxic family members. And remember, if you have this one toxic family member in your mind, if this is the type of person who requires more boundaries, it is likely a person also who will push them. Maintain your boundaries. Maintain it. One boundary that I love that I see people creating for their children has to do with physical contact. So, for instance, if my child feels uncomfortable or does not want to hug a great aunt or uncle because they feel uncomfortable, I'm not making my child do that. Oh, your child fast, something wrong with them. You're not going to speak word curses over my child, and I'm not going to force my child to have physical contact with anyone if they feel uncomfortable. Okay? So, a nicer way of saying that would be, hey, I'm leaving it up to my child if they want to hug you or not. If they don't, that's okay. But refrain from calling my child a name. That's not acceptable. Another phrase you can use to set a boundary is, hey, I am not comfortable with talking about XYZ with you. We're not going to discuss that now. If you continue to discuss that, I will ask you to leave. Or if you're in a different person's house or the circumstances are different, you can say, hey, if you continue to bring this up, we're leaving. Okay. You can also have unspoken boundaries, and they might internally sound like, I will not be alone in a room with this individual. Unspoken boundaries can be, I will not engage with a conversation about XYZ. Another unspoken boundary can be, I will not lend money or offer my help physically to this individual. That's a big one. Don't ask for my Cash App. Leave me alone. You got SNAP benefits. I got to pay $14.99 for my Amazon Prime. Okay? Stop it. So having spoken and unspoken boundaries are very important. Also, what I found in my own life, and I've encouraged others to do so, is to have a safe person. Have someone you can trust at the family gathering, that they can support you, that they can speak up for you. You need someone who can be on board to remind you of your boundaries or step in when they feel like you're being uncomfortable. So whether it's a spouse, a friend, an auntie, a cousin, y'all might need to have a little powwow before y'all go to the family dinner to make sure everybody's on one accord. All right. The value of a support person is completely immeasurable. Even if you think you can do it alone, don't even put yourself in that predicament. Okay? Just know your support person is going to help you enjoy the holidays, not endure the holidays. Another strategy with communicating with a toxic family member is to remember to keep it surface. That's a great strategy. Avoid touchy topics of conversation that you know can blow up and air the room out. Keep things light, and that will allow you to avoid confrontation. I am from the belief system of, if you don't start nothing, won't be nothing. So keeping it light, talking about dogs, hair, chicken, how great the macaroni and cheese is, reference a movie. Maybe you don't need to talk about past history. Maybe you don't need to talk about what they did to you last year. That might not go over well with trying to enjoy, not endure the holidays. So maybe jot down a few subjects that you know will go over well. Maybe introduce some board games to your time together as a family. Uno can turn into a war in my family, especially if they drinking. But maybe your family isn't like that, you know. Introduce some games that may just promote togetherness and love, okay? And while you're having to communicate with this toxic family member, be aware of who else is in the room. And if you get a little uncomfortable, invite another person into the conversation, okay? There's nothing wrong with a third party, okay? This conversation may be monitored and used for quality assurance purposes, okay? Another strategy that I use is called an escape plan, okay? I am quick to know all of my exits at everybody's house. I know how to make my phone ring when ain't nobody on the other side of the phone. I will create a scenario that I need to leave. Hark, who goes there? Sorry, gotta go. Listen, I have no shame. If you're married or you got your support person, like I said, have a powwow, because y'all can come up with a signal so that you can ease out of uncomfortable conversations. Woody woo! I don't know. The eagle has landed. You better come up with something. Watch White House Down and get some cues or something. You're going to have a plan of escape. And toxic family members are often great at making you feel like you're dramatic or overly sensitive, which is going to make you be dramatic. So having a signal that you can give your support person to come and remove you from a toxic conversation may really help you avoid, as I say, airing out the room. I just want to remind you again, if you have to deal with your toxic family members during the holidays, you're not alone. We can't choose our family and we can't control the behavior of others. But what we can do is control how we react, how we respond. You are a child of God, okay? It's nothing wrong with throwing some tables around. Jesus did it, right? But making sure that you're doing it for a purpose, for a reason. I'm all about conflict because I don't think everything can be resolved by avoidance. There's a healthy way to approach conflict to come to a resolve. So for some of you, you may need to go ahead and air the room out to set precedents for greater peace and greater resolution and greater impact. I fully understand that. Just don't let the police get called. Don't put your hands on nobody. Don't go to jail. If you got to call out a demon, do what you got to do. Do it in love and grace and compassion. And for some of you, that's not your place. That's not your season right now. So you need to make sure that this toxic family member doesn't infect you with their toxicity. You are sweet. You are kind. You are loved. You are loved. You are complete with or without their approval. Don't let their toxicity make you bitter. Okay? Don't do that. So, if no one else has said this to you, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you have to deal with this toxic person or persons. I'm sorry that you have been hurt by people who should have been protecting you. I'm sorry that you have to witness through social media, through conversations, other families function without toxicity. I'm sorry for how that makes you feel. I'm sorry that you won't get to have that picture perfect Lifetime movie. I mean, not the murder movies, but that Lifetime Hallmark looking family. You can't go back in time and create that for yourself. But you are able to create new routines so that you can have the family and appreciate the family dynamics that God wants you to have, which is full of joy and peace and comfort. I'm sorry that the toxic family member has taken an emotional toll on you. And I do pray that you're able to navigate this holiday season with grace. I pray that maybe you do have a conversation with that toxic person and that y'all work it out and that you can forge a new way of living and a new routine with them. I pray that you're able to be in peace. And I'll say it again, that you'll be able to enjoy the holidays, not just endure them. I love y'all. Until next time.
Thank you for listening to the Hey Sis podcast. Continue the conversation by visiting www.thedeevans.com and follow us for more updates.